Hi, and welcome to the Gear Garage. This is my little internet show about whitewater things. And in today's episode, I want to talk about my lean and mean camp kitchen. This is the stuff I'd bring on like a self-support ducky trip, or if I just want to go rafting and go light. They keep it simple. I have a backpacking background, so I feel very comfortable using this stuff. And honestly, on river trips, it's nice to do it. Like, so you're spending less time carrying heavy stuff up to camp and juggling everything around. If you're just like a light kitchen going super lean, it's actually pretty relaxing. Although the food won't be as good and maybe not as plentiful, and there's gonna be some struggles in the kitchen organizing everything, it's just nice to go lean and mean sometimes. So this is my kitchen. This is pretty close to what we bring on the Chetco. This is a lot of my Chetco gear, so a lot of it's titanium, super light. I'll point that stuff out, and I'd probably go a little bit lighter if it's a Chetco because we're hiking in, but this is pretty close. So first of all, I'm using this box. The NRS makes the Boulder box that I reviewed in the last episode. Love it. Super cool. The lid comes off super easy. On top, I put a flexible cutting board. These are great for just nice big cutting boards, but also in the air duckies and the back rafts, these are great for repairs. It's nice to have a couple of these. If you put a hole in the outside, you can shove this inside the ducky to protect it. So I'm a big fan of these for air repair. I have a little bag here. This is soap and bleach and a sponge. I have my soap and bleach in special Nalgene containers. These can break open. This is actually a bummer. If these containers break open, it's not fun to get bleach or soap in your kit. So I like to have nice Nalgene containers for these so they don't break open. And that's, again, for doing dishes. I use Dragonfly stoves. So this is the white gas for Dragonfly. 2 white gases will do a lot. And then again, it's nice to have backup white gas, so I bring a lot. Here are the Dragonfly stoves. I'm not going to pull them out, but the bags they come in are barely big enough for the stove, not very durable. So I've made some custom canvas bags that house the stove, the pump that goes in the top of this to pressurize the tank. There's a repair kit in here, there's a windscreen, and there's a screen for the ground that protects the ground. So I usually bring 2 stoves. It's nice to have 2 stoves going for a group so you can be cooking a lot of 2 things at once. And also, in case one does break, you still have one. So having just 1 stove to me is a little scary. For cups, we use these little silly pint cups. They're not very tall, but they're small, they're light. They're big enough, and so I bring these things. They're really easy to use. So I have these cups. A couple of Lucy lights. Lucy lights are nice. They solar power. You turn them on. They make nice little lights for the evening, so I'll throw those in there. I'll have a SteriPen to do water purification. Water purification is a big deal. Keeping everybody healthy is a big deal. So I have the SteriPen in here. I separately and more commonly use this Katadyn gravity water filter. It's in this bag. It's a blue thing. You fill it up with water like a dry bag, close it, and it slowly drips water. And we bring this to put the water into. So we hang this, fill this up with purified water. That way we have a jug to fill up from, but also if everybody's dripping into their water bottle, that's a potential vector for passing some kind of virus or something because everybody's lip of their water bottle is touching that hose. So I've learned to go straight from this to here and then pour this into people's water bottles. So this is a great water filter, but again, I have a SteriPen as a backup in case we lose this or it breaks. And this we access during the day. This is locked up in the kitchen at night. All right, for coffee, there's a lot of ways you can do coffee. Typically in these trips, I'll do Starbucks Via because it's good, it's light, it's simple. But this is a pretty fancy titanium snow peak coffee press that I really like, and I'll bring this for small groups or if I want to bring good coffee. This thing's pretty sweet, but not cheap because it's titanium. I also have this MSR, I forget the name of the stove, but it's basically a jet boil. I bring this. I like stove backups, so it's another stove, it's extra stuff, but it allows me to get up in the morning, make coffee, water really quickly, because it boils water really quickly. If you just need quick water for something, this is really nice. I do the burden of the cooking on the Dragonfly stoves, but this is for quick water, but also first thing in the morning coffee. This is pretty sweet. Not mandatory, but just a nice to have. We have these bowls instead of plates. MSR makes some sweet bowls. Some of these are aluminum, some of these are the steel ones, but they're just a good thing for, they work as everything. Everybody gets a bowl. You can have some stuff in these to serve out of, but these are super sweet. And along with the bowl, the Snow Peak Titanium Sporks. I love these things. I was never a spork fan, but these are simple, they're light, they work really well. And so Big fan of those. And then for pots, I have this MSR kit that has 2 pots. It comes with 2 pots that I really like. This is the bigger one. And so I have 2 main pots that go in the stoves. This bigger one and then the smaller one that fits inside of this. It kind of gets stuck in here. And I found there's a Snow Peak pot that this nestles in. There we go. So these 2 are actually made as a kit to work together, which is cool. A big one and a small one. These are good for cooking on 2 different stoves, but also serving food out of. And so we use these a lot. There's a lid. I only have 1 lid right here, but there's a lid that they can share. But for heating up water, you know, I find that a great way to save fuel is heating water up over a fire. And so if you have a fire, I bring this separate. This is another Snow Peak thing. This is a titanium pot, and here's the lid for it. And the bulk of the water heating we'll do with this pot. It's super light. It actually nestles in between these 2, so it works really well for that. And you notice the bottom is black because it sees the bottom of fires a lot. And so what we'll do again is I'll make coffee water on this thing if I have it first thing, get the first couple of people's coffee going. I'll make the bulk of the coffee water on this, on the fire, while I'm making breakfast on these things. So I love this thing. It's kind of expensive too, but it's pretty cool. And then finally I have a little kitchen kit full of just all kinds of little things, you know, like a spatulas and flippers and things like that. This is the handle for these pots. I only have 1 handle, so you got to kind of move them around. I have these really cool Gerber knives that are just pretty simple, pretty light, that are each have their own sheath that we use for the kitchen. And I'll usually bring 2 or 3. It's nice to have a few knives. And so these nice Gerber knives. What else do I have in here? Another knife. This we'll use to strain the dishwater so we don't leave any trash behind. And so it's just a little tiny strainer. It also works for coffee if you want to do coffee, but I wouldn't use it for both. This is a 2.5-inch strainer. And then what else? Another knife, teaspoon and a tablespoon. We have a few recipes where we do like calzones where the amounts have to be perfect. 1/2 cup in case you need to measure 1/2 cup. And then of course having a Leatherman is huge. And getting a Leatherman that has a can opener, right? That way you have a can opener. I've been on a few trips where we forget a can opener. And having, not all Leathermans have can openers, so making sure it has a can opener, I think, is a big deal. And so that's the main camp kitchen that I'd love to bring. There's a few other things that are probably in other places. But the last thing I'll bring if I have the space in the room is this Dutch oven. This is a 3.5-pound, 10-inch Dutch oven. And I'll bring 2 of these sometimes. I have 2 of them. And it works really well for heating up water on the fire, again, if you need to. It's great for the dish. At the end of the night, it's a great place to do dishes. So if you don't have other things to do dishes in, having 2 of these are great for dishes. You can bake in them. We do a calzone in these sometimes. We can make macaroni and cheese in these, all kinds of stuff. So at 3.5 pounds, they're not super heavy, but they're definitely kind of a luxury. But they do save in fuel. So if you bring 2 of these, you may only need 1 fuel bottle. Or may only need 1 stove. So it's sort of a trade-off with how much fire you're going to be doing, how good you are with a Dutch oven versus stove stuff. So that is my mini kitchen. Gosh, I wish I weighed this. It probably, you know, weighs like, I'm not going to even guess. It doesn't weigh that much. So it's a nice lean and mean kitchen. All fits nicely in this box. And yeah, if you have questions about it, as always, ask away. If you have things I forgot, you're like, oh, what about this? How do you do that? I may have like spaced putting something in there, so please point that out if you know what that was. And as always, thanks for joining me, and see you next time.